Most people have been given completely wrong advice about belly fat. You've probably heard the same tired message your entire life. Work harder, run farther, burn more calories every single day. Millions of people follow that advice and still see zero results. Maybe you've lived this frustration yourself, pushing through every workout. You spend longer on the treadmill hoping something will finally change. You leave the gym exhausted, sweaty, and honestly a little defeated. The scale might move slightly at first, just a tiny bit, but that stubborn belly fat seems completely immune to your efforts. And here's the truth nobody tells you. It actually is. Belly fat doesn't follow the same rules as fat elsewhere. It has its own biology, its own triggers, its own logic. Your body isn't passively storing fat and waiting to release it. In many cases, your body is actively protecting that belly fat. That might sound crazy, but the science backs it up completely. Two people can burn identical calories and get wildly different results. One person loses belly fat walking daily, nothing dramatic, nothing extreme. Another person runs for hours every week and barely makes progress. The difference isn't discipline, willpower, or how hard someone is working. The difference is the biological environment happening inside their body daily. Visceral fat, the dangerous kind around your organs, responds to hormones. It responds to blood sugar levels, stress signals, and sleep quality. It responds to your metabolic health more than your workout intensity. Your body is constantly asking several questions at once, not one. Is blood sugar stable right now or dangerously spiking after eating? Are stress hormones elevated, signaling that danger is present right now? Is sleep deep and restorative or fragmented and chronically insufficient lately? Depending on the answers, your body either burns fat or hoards it. This is why effort alone so often fails to move the needle. You can outwork a bad internal environment only for so long. Today, we're going to change the entire way you approach this. We're covering 5 walking upgrades that work with your biology directly, not against it, not despite it, but fully in alignment with it. One upgrade helps muscles pull sugar out of your blood immediately. Another reduces the stress hormones that are directly linked to abdominal fat. One takes advantage of a metabolic window most people completely overlook daily. None of these require running, jumping, extreme effort, or expensive equipment. None require an hour of your time or a gym membership. By the end, you'll understand why a smarter walk beats a harder workout. Let's start by exposing the mistake almost every person makes first. If belly fat were simply a calorie problem, life would be easy. More exercise, burn more, lose fat. Simple math, simple solution. But if that equation worked, nobody would still be struggling now. Millions of people diet for years and still carry the same belly. The reality is that fat loss is not just about energy expenditure. It's about the internal conditions your body is operating within right now. Your body makes a constant daily decision between 2 very different jobs. Job 1 is storing energy for future survival and uncertain times ahead. Job 2 is releasing energy because conditions feel safe and stable for now. When conditions are favorable, your body opens the fat-burning door willingly. Stable blood sugar tells the body that food is reliably available now. Healthy insulin levels signal that energy is being managed efficiently right now. Manageable stress tells the nervous system that no threat is present today. When these signals align, fat loss becomes far more natural and effortless. But when those signals are disrupted, the body defaults to hoarding mode. It holds on to reserves, especially around the abdomen, just in case.
This is a survival mechanism designed to protect you, not punish you. Understanding this changes everything about how you approach your daily movement. You stop trying to punish calories away with brutal, exhausting workouts. You start creating the right internal environment for fat to release naturally. Walking is one of the most studied movements for metabolic health today. It's gentle on joints, easy to recover from, and surprisingly effective. When used strategically, walking influences blood sugar, insulin, and fat metabolism simultaneously. But most people make one critical error when they think about walking. They obsess over how long they walk, how many steps they hit. What actually matters far more is something most people never consider at all. It's not about duration, distance, or step count in any meaningful way. It's about timing, specifically one particular window during your day that matters. This single timing shift can produce a dramatically different metabolic response daily, and it happens at a moment most people completely waste by sitting down. Every time you eat a meal, especially one containing carbohydrates, something happens. Your blood sugar begins rising within minutes of that first bite swallowed. Your body releases insulin to move that sugar out of the bloodstream. In healthy people with good metabolic health, this process runs smoothly always. But in many adults, especially those carrying excess belly fat, things change. The system becomes sluggish, less responsive, requiring more insulin to do the job. Blood sugar stays elevated longer than it should after every single meal. This matters deeply because insulin doesn't just regulate sugar, it regulates fat. The longer insulin stays elevated after eating, the more fat storage is encouraged. The longer it stays high, the less fat your body will burn. Here is exactly where a short walk completely changes the metabolic equation. When your leg muscles contract during movement, they pull glucose from your blood. Think of your working muscles as a massive sponge soaking up excess sugar. They absorb circulating glucose before it stays elevated and triggers more insulin release. And this process starts almost immediately within the first few minutes of walking. You don't need intensity, you don't need sweat, you don't need distance here. A 10 to 15-minute walk after eating can dramatically reduce blood sugar spikes. Research consistently shows post-meal walking outperforms sitting even for metabolically healthy adults. Over weeks and months, this means less insulin exposure after every single meal. Less insulin exposure means your body spends more hours each day burning fat. This is why experts now call post-meal movement one of the most underrated habits. Instead of trying to burn off yesterday's excess, you handle today's energy immediately. You're not compensating for damage already done by poor metabolic signaling earlier. You're preventing the problem from happening in the first place, right now. It's a fundamentally smarter strategy than any amount of punishing weekend cardio. Timing is the first upgrade, and it costs you nothing except 15 minutes. But timing alone only scratches the surface of what walking can really do. There's another factor that determines whether your walk burns fat or sugar, and it has nothing to do with where you walk or how far. Surprisingly, it comes down to something you're doing every single second unconsciously: breathing. Most people assume that walking faster always produces better fat loss results automatically. That assumption is one of the most common and costly mistakes walkers make. There's a specific point where faster pace stops helping and starts hurting. Past that threshold, your body changes the primary fuel source it prefers burning. Fat is an extraordinary energy source, dense and virtually unlimited in most adults.
But it burns slowly and requires a generous, continuous supply of available oxygen. When you push your pace too hard, oxygen availability starts to decrease rapidly. Your body then shifts toward burning glucose because glucose burns faster and easier. You've accidentally left the fat-burning zone by simply trying too hard today. And you might not even realize it happened because you feel fine walking. There is a surprisingly elegant and completely free way to monitor this in real time. Keep your mouth closed and breathe exclusively through your nose while you walk. If nasal breathing feels comfortable and sustainable, you're in the fat-burning zone now. If you feel the urgent need to open your mouth and gasp for air, you've gone too far. You've pushed past the aerobic threshold where fat oxidation is maximized and efficient. Think of nasal breathing as a built-in biological speed limiter protecting your fat-burning session. It naturally prevents you from accidentally turning recovery walks into glycolytic stress sessions. There's a second major benefit to nasal breathing that goes beyond fuel selection entirely. Breathing through your nose tends to activate slower, deeper, more parasympathetic breathing patterns naturally. Those patterns calm the nervous system in ways that matter enormously for belly fat.
Chronic stress and chronically elevated cortisol are directly linked to abdominal fat accumulation in research. Cortisol signals the body to hold energy reserves, especially in the abdominal region specifically. When you walk with nasal breathing, you're simultaneously managing pace and managing stress hormones, two powerful fat loss levers being pulled at the exact same time, effortlessly. The goal here is never to walk harder or push through some arbitrary barrier. The goal is to stay in the zone where fat is your primary fuel. Master your breathing, and every single walk becomes more metabolically valuable than before. But there's still another simple upgrade you can add without spending extra time walking. It requires no additional minutes, no gym, and no dramatic lifestyle overhaul whatsoever. It simply makes every step you already take produce a meaningfully greater metabolic return. The human body is a relentless adaptation machine, and that's usually a good thing. But adaptation becomes your enemy when you're trying to keep burning fat efficiently. If you've walked the same route at the same pace for several months now, your body has fully adapted. That adaptation means the walk now requires significantly less energy than it did initially. Your body has found the most efficient way to perform that exact movement pattern. Fewer calories burned per step, less glucose absorbed by muscles, less metabolic demand created. The fix is beautifully simple. Add a small amount of weight to your walk. Carry a light backpack with just a few water bottles tucked inside it. This technique is called rucking, and it has been used by militaries for centuries. But you don't need military conditioning to benefit from this simple metabolic trick. Even 5 to 10 pounds of additional load changes the entire equation dramatically. Your legs, glutes, core, and back muscles all have to contribute meaningfully more. Your body recruits additional muscle fibers with every single step you take now. Energy demand increases, metabolism works harder, and glucose uptake by muscles improves substantially. This isn't simply about burning a few additional calories per walk session, though. Muscle tissue is one of the largest consumers of glucose anywhere in your body. The more muscle recruited per step, the better your body handles blood sugar over time. You're not just making the walk slightly harder, you're making it metabolically richer. And unlike running or high-impact cardio, a weighted walk remains gentle on joints throughout.
This matters enormously for anyone over 40, 50, or carrying significant extra body weight. Think of carrying a light pack as increasing the return on investment of every step. You don't need more time, more willpower, or a completely different exercise routine here. You need a slightly greater stimulus applied to movement you're already doing each day. Add the weight gradually, starting with just a couple of pounds to begin. Your body will respond, adapt, and you increase the load slightly from there. This one change can meaningfully compound your results over months without any additional time cost. But even this powerful upgrade isn't the most overlooked element of a strategic walk. There's one factor that many people ignore entirely, one that directly influences belly fat. And it has absolutely nothing to do with your legs, your pace, or your backpack. It has everything to do with where you point your eyes while walking outside. At first, this sounds like it couldn't possibly have anything to do with fat loss. What do your eyes have to do with cortisol, insulin, and visceral fat storage? More than almost anyone realizes, and the science behind it is genuinely fascinating here. Earlier, we established that chronic stress makes belly fat loss significantly more difficult over time. But most people only think about obvious stressors: work deadlines, relationship friction, financial pressure. Your nervous system, however, is gathering environmental information through your senses constantly, every minute. And one of its most powerful information channels is your visual field, moment by moment. Consider how you use your eyes during a typical modern workday at home or office. You're staring at a screen inches from your face for hours without meaningful interruption. Your visual focus is narrow, close, concentrated, and your brain interprets this as high alert mode. Now, contrast that tunnel vision state with what happens when you walk outdoors naturally. Your eyes scan the environment, moving across distance, noticing peripheral movement without conscious effort. Trees, clouds, buildings, people, and open sky all enter your relaxed visual awareness. Your visual field widens dramatically compared to screen staring, and your brain registers this difference. A broader visual field is neurologically associated with safety, calm, and low-threat assessment. A narrow, concentrated visual field is associated with problem-solving, threat detection, and sustained alertness. This is one major reason people report feeling mentally refreshed after even a brief outdoor walk. Their nervous system finally received a clear signal that the environment is safe right now. Cortisol begins to drop, the stress response quiets, and metabolic conditions improve meaningfully. So here is the practical upgrade. Put your phone away completely and look up. Let your eyes scan naturally across the horizon and the environment around you freely. Stop checking messages, stop tracking your steps obsessively, stop staring at the sidewalk directly below. You're not just exercising your cardiovascular system and your muscles during this walk now. You're actively signaling your nervous system that the world is not a threat today. Fewer stress signals over time means lower average cortisol throughout your daily waking hours. Lower cortisol means your body is far less motivated to hold on to abdominal fat reserves. This upgrade costs nothing, requires no equipment, and takes zero extra time to implement. It simply requires putting the phone in your pocket and choosing to be present outside. It seems almost too simple to matter, but the biology behind it is genuinely compelling. And it sets up perfectly for the final upgrade, which ties everything together beautifully. We've covered post-meal timing, nasal breathing for fat oxidation, added resistance for greater stimulus, and visual stress reduction.
Now let's talk about the final upgrade, and for many people, it may be the simplest. Walk shortly after waking in the morning before you eat your first meal. Not because mornings are magical, not because of some motivational cliché about early risers, but because your biology is in a genuinely unique state when you first wake up. Think about what your body does during 7 or 8 hours of quality sleep nightly. You haven't consumed food for all those hours, so insulin gradually falls throughout the night. Your body spends the sleeping hours using stored energy to keep all systems running quietly. When you wake up, you're often in the lowest insulin state of your entire day. And lower insulin means your body is considerably more willing to access stored fat for fuel. This doesn't mean a morning walk magically dissolves belly fat while you're sipping water. No single exercise session works like that, and anyone claiming otherwise is misleading you entirely. But it does mean you're moving during a biological window that favors fat utilization meaningfully, compared to walking later in the day when multiple meals have elevated insulin already significantly. The morning window may encourage your body to draw more heavily from fat stores during the walk. There is a second major benefit to morning walking that has nothing directly to do with calories. It's about light, specifically natural sunlight entering your eyes within the first hour of waking. Morning light helps calibrate your circadian rhythm, the internal clock governing sleep, hormones, and metabolism. When your circadian rhythm is well regulated, sleep quality improves in ways that compound over weeks. And here is why sleep quality matters so profoundly for belly fat loss specifically and directly. People who sleep poorly consistently experience more intense cravings for high-sugar, high-fat foods daily. Their blood sugar control deteriorates, making every meal a bigger metabolic challenge than it needs to be. Their bodies release more ghrelin, the hunger hormone, and less leptin, the satiety signal, every day. Managing body weight, let alone reducing belly fat, becomes dramatically harder without adequate sleep nightly.
Today's morning walk directly influences tonight's sleep quality through circadian light exposure in the morning. Tonight's better sleep directly improves tomorrow's blood sugar control, cortisol levels, and fat metabolism throughout the day. This is what makes the morning walk so disproportionately valuable compared to its modest time investment. The benefits don't end when you walk through your door and take off your shoes. They continue working quietly in the background, influencing hormones and metabolism for hours afterward. One simple morning habit ripples forward through your entire metabolic day in measurable, meaningful ways. Now, imagine combining all 5 of these upgrades together into a single sustainable daily practice. You walk after meals to flatten blood sugar spikes and reduce insulin exposure consistently. You breathe through your nose to stay in the fat-burning zone without overthinking pace. You carry a light backpack to recruit more muscle and improve glucose handling over time. You put your phone away and look up to lower cortisol through visual nervous system signals. You start your day with a morning walk to access the fasted metabolic window regularly. None of these are dramatic lifestyle overhauls requiring massive willpower or personality transformation to sustain. Each one is a small, intelligent signal sent to your body's biological management systems daily. Individually, each signal is meaningful. Together, they create a compounding biological environment for fat loss. Your body starts receiving consistent information that makes fat storage less necessary and fat burning easier. If there's one thing to carry away from everything we've covered here today, it's this.
Belly fat is not proof that you aren't working hard enough or trying sufficiently. Often, it's proof that your body has been receiving the wrong signals for too long. For decades, the dominant message has been to push harder, eat less, suffer more consistently. But your body is not a simple machine that responds only to mechanical inputs and outputs. It's an intelligent, adaptive biological system that responds to information far more than to punishment. Information from blood sugar levels after every meal you sit down and eat today. Information from stress hormones that spike when you stare at screens for too many hours. Information from sleep quality that determines whether tomorrow's metabolism runs efficiently or sluggishly from the start. Information from how you move your body, when you move it, and how you breathe while moving. A short walk after lunch is information your body receives and responds to meaningfully. A slow nasal breathing pace is information that tells your body fat burning is appropriate now. A light backpack adds metabolic demand that improves insulin sensitivity far beyond the walk itself. Eyes scanning the horizon is information telling your nervous system that everything is safe and fine. A morning walk in natural light is information that sets your circadian rhythm for the day. Biology responds to consistency and to pattern far more powerfully than it responds to single intense efforts. You don't need to implement all 5 perfectly starting tomorrow morning before the sun rises. Start with one upgrade that feels accessible and genuinely achievable within your current daily routine. Make it a consistent part of how you move through your days for several weeks. Then layer in the next upgrade when the first one feels completely natural and automatic. Because the goal was never to win a single brutal workout on a single hard day. The goal is to build an environment where your body naturally becomes metabolically healthier over time. An environment where blood sugar is managed consistently, stress is lower, and sleep is restorative. An environment where your body has every biological reason to release stored fat rather than guard it. When those systems begin working together through consistent daily signals, belly fat responds differently than before. It stops being a battle of willpower fought in a gym against your own exhausted body. It becomes a natural outcome of an internal biological environment that has been carefully, consistently improved. Sometimes the most powerful strategy isn't doing dramatically more with greater intensity and longer duration. Sometimes it's giving your body smarter, clearer, more consistent signals, starting with your very next walk outside. And that walk, a smarter walk, can begin today, right now, exactly as you are.